Hi guys, this morning we're going to be running through an example demo of the NetOrca Terraform provider. We're going to be creating a few DNS-A records based on service items defined within NetOrca. Let's start at the NetOrca GUI here. So I've got open the NetOrca GUI in the context of a service owner. I can see that as a service owner I have a couple of change instances pending. They are in the approved state, so we can go ahead and implement them, but they are not yet implemented. Let's start by looking at the service item declaration. You can see here that we have we're going to be creating a new DNS-A record called vault.prod1 in the example.local zone with this 10113 address. Next we have a vault A record that's going to be created in the same zone, and that's going to be 10112. Let's pop over to our text editor to show how NetOrca Terraform provider is configured. First up, the providers.tf. You can see here we have the NetOrca required provider and the DNS required provider. We've provided the DNS provider with some config, and we've defined a definition for the NetOrca provider. You can see here we don't have the config in line. This is because we've actually set up the environment beforehand and we've exported these environment variables. Let's go ahead and look at the Terraform module. Up first we've got the data provider here. This is going to pull back all NetOrca change instances and put them in this change instances container that match service ID 12, which just so happens to be our A record service. And we're going to be doing that in the context of a service owner. Next up we've got the NetOrca change instances resource. This is going to be stuff put into the example container, and what we're going to do here for this resource is we're going to map over all of the data provider NetOrca change instances, and we're going to mark them as completed and with a deployed item deployed true. You can actually arbitrarily put any information you'd like in the deployed item, and this can be helpful for tracking changes, labeling them, and for post-change analysis. Next up we've got the actual resource DNS-A record set. This is an official Terraform plugin, and so what we're going to be doing here is again mapping over all of the NetOrca change instances from the data provider, and we're going to be using the declaration from them, the service item declaration, to provide data for the configuration. So here we've got the zone, the name, which is going to be the A record, and the addresses provided. And lastly we'll output all the information that's changed at the end. I'm going to go ahead and run a Terraform plan now, and let's go over what we've got here. So we've got 4 resources to add. We have a DNS-A record set. First up we've got the vault A record that's going to be in the example local zone, and that's going to be created with a A record 10112. Next up we've got the vault.prod1 A record, going to be in the example local zone with an address of 10113. We have Terraform, the NetOrca change instance, which is change instance ID 265, which we can see here. And this is going to be marked as completed in the context of the service owner, and we're going to add this deployed item that we've defined in our module up here. And lastly we've got ID 266, change instance ID 266. We're going to mark that as completed, and we're going to add a deployed item here as well. And so we can also check that this isn't already set up, so we can look for vault.prod1. And you can see here our DNS server provides an NX domain for it, and the same with the Vault instance. We can actually confirm that the DNS server is actually operational. We can return its example local A record back for itself. Let's go ahead and run the apply, What that should do is create the DNSA records and then update the NetOrca change instances. Okay, so here we can see in our output the change instances that we've created, and here we can see that the DNSA records have been created. And we can check that they actually work now by looking at the NS lookups. Sure enough, we get 10113 back for Vault Prod 1, 10112 back for Vault. Okay, let's pop back to our NetOrca GUI, and if I refresh the page here, you'll notice that the change instances have gone, and that's because they're no longer in the pending or approved state, they're actually in the completed state here, and we can see they've been marked as completed. And if we pop to the service items and look at Vault Prod 1 for example, we can see that the deployed item has been created as well. So hopefully that shows you how easy it is to integrate NetOrca Terraform provider into your existing pipelines, and we hope to hear from you soon.